Hi everybody, it's Benty Hansen from Embracing Unity. Though I'll be honest with you, when I first started doing the YouTube videos, I really thought that Embracing Unity would be a good name, just to explore the concept of what unity is, what it means to us, and how we can actually come to a space of unity despite the diversity and the differences that exist in the world. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe embracing change would have been a much better idea. And the reason I say this is that all I see around me is change everywhere in the world. In the last few months, we know that the world is never going to be the same. The rate of change is so rapid. And because of that, it means that there's a lot of adjustment that needs to be made. Whether that adjustment is individually, within a community, nationally, or globally. The bottom line is that we are in a state of rapid change. And this change impacts each and every one of us in some way or another. Many years ago, when I was studying at university, I actually did a fun subject in sociology, and it was all about change. And a lot of what I learned and researched was about organisational change. But nevertheless, some of the same principles apply. Whether you are a person who works for yourself or whether you are a family person or a single person, change is something that many in our communities don't like. And one of the things, and I do see and hear, is people talking about the fact that, we can revert back to what was normal. When all this is over, whatever this is, when this is all over, we can revert back to normal. That raises the philosophical question of what is normal, and I'm not going into that. But one thing I do know is that there's no going back. Our world will never be the same. And how we adapt to that is what defines us. It will demonstrate to us whether or not we're ready for this shift. And it is the shift of the ages. This is the one that's been heralded for eons. It's a shift that takes us from one paradigm into a new one. And the new paradigm is, at this point in time, undefined, because you and I are going to be the ones who are part of creating the new paradigm. So where does that leave us? Just you and I, ordinary folk, going about minding our own business and doing our best to, stay healthy and sane. I feel that from my earlier studies, what they say about managing change is very correct. Very often when a new situation is thrust upon us, we go into denial and we wait for it to be over, or maybe we resist it because it's not the normal thing. So the first phase of working with change is to accept the fact that change is happening, whether we like it or not. From there we go to a space of accommodation. To what extent does this change resonate? Does it feel right or not? And how can we adjust to it? And then the final phase, and I'm putting this ever so simply, is to actually get into the flow, to work with the changes, to create something that actually may be totally new, exciting, and uplifting. Now, where we're at from my observations, and I've been spending the last month doing a lot of listening and a lot of observing, and of course a lot of reflection. Where we're at the moment is we're basically at the very beginning, and how we respond to this energy of change, to what is outside of ourselves, will determine what we get to experience. and this probably sounds very woo-woo and wishy-washy. I have people saying to me, well, aren't you worried about this and aren't you worried about that? And I'm not going to mention certain words because if I do, this video will be banned, okay? They'll be taken off YouTube. I prefer to go into a space where I can actually visualize the reality that I would like to live in and that I see myself living in. And how I see it, the more I see it, the more I begin to feel it. Now, what I'm saying about this is that I can sit back and I can observe what's going on in the world. And I feel and I hear people's pain and concern, and I definitely, most definitely feel the fear that's out there. However, it's my choice as to whether or not take it on. And it's your choice too. Do you buy into the fear? Do you get caught up in it? And do you start to visualize and imagine the worst case scenario of how you're going to be limited with your travels, or how your finances and other things that you value in life will be taken from you if you don't comply with unlawful edicts, and they are unlawful, but that's another story. Or instead, are you able to shift your own personal frequency, your vibration, to such an extent that you can sit back and watch it like watching a movie show, preferably right at the back of the cinema. So what you are watching, all the chaos and all of the turmoil that people are experiencing, is not yours. It doesn't stop you from being compassionate and caring. The reason I stress this is that the more you are able to envisage a new reality, a new paradigm, the more that you hold that frequency. And from there, because it's a frequency, it spreads out from you like a wave of calmness and optimism, a wave of hopefulness. And in that wave, it gets picked up. There is this vibration that somehow or other will attach itself to other people, because there's something in that wave that really resonates for them, even in the midst of their fears. And then they too can get caught up in stepping away from the dramas and the fears, and instead beginning their own journey of creating the reality that they choose for themselves. This is how reality gets manifested. Step away from all those things that do not resonate with you. Create the reality for yourself. I know that sounds a little bit woo-woo, it sounds a bit far-fetched. However, the more that we do it as a collective, the more powerful that wave becomes. And the more that we actually begin to manifest what we visualize, what we imagine, and so forth. This is how we create change. This is how we manifest it into something that has more harmony and works for us. And even in the middle of all this change, we have the ability to create something truly beautiful. Now, many of you may be aware that I've done a lot of channeling over the years, and I've worked with really high beings, non-physical beings, and the messages have been very consistent. This time that we are now experiencing, is without doubt everything that I've ever learned about. Way back in the 90s, I got information that what we're experiencing now would be happening. And as a consequence of this, it's like we've reached a tipping point where everything that is hidden and buried and and kept secret must be revealed to the world. And we have to deal with our collective history and the collective pain and suffering that we have created and endured. However, from this pivotal point, we have the potential to go forward and to manifest, to create, to design a whole new reality that actually works so much more constructively for every member of this planet, every member of our community, of our nation, and globally. So, please, I ask you, this is the time now to do a lot of meditation, to give a lot of gratitude, and to begin living your life in the manner that you would like it to be. If you find that you have a lot of fear within you, how you deal with that fear is your choice. You can either let it consume you and run your life, or you can figure out how you need to move beyond it. And there are plenty of programs, therapists, and ways of overcoming the subconscious fears. Because I once lived my life in fear and I no longer do. And there are many people like myself. We know that globally we are heading into a new era, an era of peace. Will we all think the same? Will we all feel the same? Will we all do the same things? No. But in this process of change, we have the opportunity to create something that really supports us spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So it's up to you. Thank you so much.